What did you think when you first saw this place?
It looked like a scene from a zombie movie, yeah? It looked like a scene from one of those epic end-of-world movies.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Grey Man Operations. So in this video, we'll talk about something very important, that is your level of preparedness for disaster. So I want to state, in my opinion, that there is no one who can tell you the possibility or potentiality of a disaster occurring, simply because we live in an environment or a world these days that is run by so many things that are beyond our control, that disasters can take multiple forms. From natural disasters like what happened in Turkey or what's happening in the Vaal area in South Africa, to economic disasters, to man-made disasters like South Africa's electricity crisis.
So the president says, hold on, I'm not obligated to provide you with electricity. That's the job of municipalities. President Cyril Ramaphosa gave that response in his answering affidavit to a constitutional challenge to the country's power crisis.
There is no one who can tell you how or when a disaster or what type of disaster is going to occur. The only thing you can control is your preparedness for disaster. So in this video, I'm going to outline a few things that you can do to manage and to increase your survivability level in the event of disaster. How you use this video is A, if you learn something, apply it. B, maybe show it to your partner who isn't on the prepared lifestyle and say, look, these are real things that could happen and we need to be ready for it. And C, hopefully opening up their understanding that we don't live in as stable world as what we think it is. Also, if you are a Patreon, guys, at the end of this video, I'm giving away a complete trauma kit with Urban Warrior EDC Ready Pack. This whole setup, as you see here, you can deal with, here's a link, check out this link, and you'll see what this Ready Pack can do. I'm giving away a full one of those at the end of this video. Cool thing is, I've decided to make this a reoccurring giveaway. So if you are a patron and you don't win this one, there is going to be another giveaway of this exact same kit, which is really, really cool. Also, patrons, let me know if you want me to give away the Nightcore BP18 in my next giveaway, which will be on in and around the 5th of April. So it'll be like my March giveaway. I can move this up if you want to. I was intending to give away one of my new designed knives, but if you prefer a backpack to the knife, we can make that happen. Let's get into the video. Threats.
Now, it looks like things might get worse before they get better. Eskom has admitted it is working with the National Energy Regulator of South Africa to prepare schedules beyond Stage 8. Should we be worried? That's the question. But also, what do schedules beyond Stage 8 actually mean to us? And I understand that NERSA and Eskom are also preparing for Stages 8 to 16.
So first and foremost, if you're in South Africa, we've got to talk about electricity. Apparently, South Africa is flirting with Stage 8 to 16 load shedding. If you don't know what that is, basically, if you have Stage 6 load shedding, it means you don't have electricity for 12 hours a day. That's Stage 6. Now, every stage up means you have less and less electricity for that day. I don't even know what Stage 16 looks like. If we have a total blackout, which means our grid fails, it will take 2 weeks to repower that grid, which means we'll be without electricity for an estimated 2 weeks. This did happen in New York in the 80s, and after 2 days, the violent crime started happening. As a country, we are closer than we've ever been to this kind of thing happening, and I guarantee you, if this does happen, it will definitely turn violent. People will become more desperate, and more desperate people become more violent. Also, remember, you might not be informed. There might not be a news broadcast that tells you in a few days' time our grid is going to fail. It might be because our government or the people who govern our electricity infrastructure don't know themselves when it's going to fail.
Now, it seems Eskom manager overruling engineers may have caused the catastrophic Kusile chimney collapse. This is according to an internal Eskom report that shed light on how bosses at Megawatt Park gave verbal instructions to return a unit at Kusile to full capacity service, and even though a critical component had failed and needed to be repaired.
So it's not like you can start getting prepared when the crisis has happened. We also have to look at our elections next year. I believe the ANC is closer to losing an election than they ever have been. And the problem with that is, are they going to hand over control peacefully?
Well, let's move to this story, and it was covered quite extensively a few months ago, the corruption at Tembisa Hospital, and it hit headlines not for the staggering level of theft at first, but for the assassination of health auditor Babita Deokaran, who was, at the time of her death in August 2021, probing maladministration in the facility.
In the early 90s, the ANC was the party run by Nelson Mandela, which basically broke the shackles of what we call apartheid. You can look at the ANC as the hammer that was required to break those shackles. The problem is, in my opinion, they never stopped being that hammer. And whilst a hammer is a useful tool, if you need a screwdriver, a hammer is useless. The ANC, in my opinion, needed to evolve and say we are now no longer needed for our destructive capabilities. We now need to build things. And as such, we have to be truly concerned that while it may be long-term a good thing for the ANC to lose the next election, there might be short-term violence when that does happen. And when you do have large-scale violence, the everyday citizen is the one that suffers the most, because you aren't going to have access to food, you aren't going to have access to social services. And before you say it can't happen, this was a year and a half ago.
In the suburb of Umhlanga, thousands stood in line for the local supermarket, but the shop would only let 300 in.
We've been here up and down this road a couple of times telling them, if you get a ticket, you're going to go in. If you don't get a ticket, you can't shop.
What sort of reaction are you getting?
Some of them understand, some of them don't understand.
Food, medicine and fuel are difficult to get as businesses assess their losses.
You know, there's all these people are standing here. They want food. That's all we want. We just want to get some groceries, some stuff, some sustainability for our homes. You know what I mean? So
if you aren't prepared for it and it happens, the time for preparation is past. Bugging out.
I live here at Muller's Ras, also called Sunset Paradise, for the last 12 years. The river started rising rapidly. My wife was still in the house. Everybody shouted. On that moment, a hell of a splash from the river came in. She was thrown into the kitchen by then. The water in the house was about 1.2 meter high, the water level. But we're waiting that the water level drops so we can mop up at least and then see the real damage.
So for most of us, our emergency preparation is in the form of bugging out. And those of you who follow this channel will know the term bug out bag. A bug out bag is something you carry on your back that is able to support you with your life support system for however long it takes you to get to your bug out location. Now, a possibly good tip is every family member needs to have their own bug out bag. If you have young kids and they're able to carry their own backpack, have them carry their own backpack. Your wife or husband needs his or her own bug out bag, and you need your own bug out bag. The simple reason, if for whatever reason you can't get to your location via vehicle and you have to use your feet to get there, you can't carry 4 people's worth of resources on your back alone. So a top tip is ensure that each family member has to within reason, has their own bug out bags so they can carry their own gear in the case of you needing to get to your bug out location on foot. Regarding your bug out location, always have enough petrol in your vehicle to get you there. Have multiple routes memorized. Know the route day or night, because the simplest or shortest distance might not be the safest. Bug in. An alternate option to bugging out if you don't have a secondary location is to bug in. Effectively, ensure that you have enough resources in your home, like a bug-in box, which is a box filled with non-perishable foods, water, etc. So that if you needed to survive within your own home for a certain period of time, you could. Ensure that you can protect your own home. Ensure that your allies, so if you're living in a community.
Uncertainty is something that everyone shares. In the predominantly Asian district of Phoenix, locals man roadblocks armed with machetes or golf clubs after a week of violence here that's left at least 20 dead.
I wouldn't say we're taking the law into our own hands. I mean, if there is no law to protect us, what do we do?
Have your allies, identify your allies, and identify a plan for your allies so that you guys know who's responsible for what in the case of you needing to bug in. Also, have more resources than what you need. Not everybody is going to be responsible, but some people might be worth having on your side. For example, the next door neighbor who is a firearm owner, he might not bring any food, but he brings security. Also, for bugging in and bugging out, identify a team leader. The team leader is the person you're going to listen to when there is a problem. You don't want your wife screaming around at the back door and your husband screaming around at the front door. You want someone who is designated, who the kids and you are going to listen to beyond question if a disaster or a emergency ever happens, so that orders are followed properly. Self-preparation.
Move it! Ryan, move!
Okay, massive hemorrhage. Amputated right leg. Back up light. Okay. Our leg wound. Contact front.
Ryan, move! Cover up, cover!
What stage of care are we in? What are we doing? Care under fire. Listen to.
Just check your finger.
34.
I'll get your kit off.
Get up.
Breathe, calm down. Take deep breaths through your nose.
Understand your skill set, understand your gear set. More importantly, understand your limitations and build a mindset of survival. In reality, you are not going to be able to save everyone. Okay, you're going to have to make that choice of, am I going to go to my parents' house? Am I going to go to my brother, sister's house and try to save them? Or am I only going to save the people who are in my household? It's highly advisable that you share this video with the other members of your household so they understand, listen, if something happens, I'm not coming to save you. You're going to have to save yourself and start preparing for it now. The advantage of preparing for an emergency when an emergency isn't happening is when an emergency does happen, you are prepared. The disadvantage is, whilst that emergency hasn't happened yet, people are going to look at you like you're crazy. That's an unfortunate part of the reality of the situation, where people will only need you when the emergency is happening. It's very important to evaluate your capacity to survive. Do you have force multipliers? By force multipliers, I mean, do you have something you can use that is going to increase your ability to protect yourself and your loved ones? Because if there is an emergency and there is rioting or looting, it's not going to be a case of one person coming through your door wanting to have a fist fight. It's going to be a case of multiple people with multiple weapons, and I guarantee you bad guys have force multipliers.
Those are people that are obviously below the working class. Those are the poor. There's large quantities of them.
So if you don't have a firearm, if you don't have a means to protect yourself, it is not when the disaster happens that you can start this process. By then it's too late, the ship has sailed. It is when there is a time of relative peace that you have to start this process. And at the end of the day, there's never a bad time to be prepared. To this point, guys, I am going to make a huge effort to try to give my patrons the opportunity to win medical gear, medical training courses, and defensive training courses. I give away a free spot on a course almost every single month to my patrons. If you want to become a patron, if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the video description below. If you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, it is the first comment. For the price of a few beers, you can get early access to videos, monthly giveaways. I tend to give away more than one thing a month. Like since I've started Patreon, I've given away a prize and a course every single month. And I am working on booking out a full course for my patrons in the near future. If you want me to move this giveaway up to March's giveaway, I can. And then in April, I'm going to be giving away a Hollow Sun Red Dot. In May, I'm going to be giving away a Streamlight Weapon Light, either a TLR1HL or TLR7A. And then also don't forget, I'm going to be giving away the knife. So patrons, you guys can choose. Do you want the next giveaway to be the backpack or the knife? Let me know. Let's flip to my giveaway screen. You guys know how it works by now, and I'm going to give away this trauma kit and EDC ready pack. Okay guys, so this is the names of the entrants. Remember, there will be one less person or one less patron, because if you win the last competition, you skip one draw if you elect to take your prize. Something I do just want to tell you guys is that I do film these things quite late. It is Sunday the 5th of March at 12:40 a.m. So I film it as late as I possibly can to give everyone an opportunity. So I'm going to copy these names and paste it into our name randomizer. Just copy that and paste it here. And then I'm going to shuffle these names or randomize these names, and there should be 80 entries, and there are 80. And then I'm going to take the numbers and I'm going to copy those and paste them into our random wheel of names. So just paste them here and just backspace 1 to get rid of that space. So there is 80 entries. We're going to shuffle those entries. Going to click, and the number this lands on is going to be the winner of the competition. So number 50 is our winner. Let's see who that is. 50, Mornay van Jaarsveld. So well done to you, Mornay. I will get your details off Patreon and we can sort out that prize for you. Well done to the winner. I'll make contact with you on Patreon and we can get your details and I'll get that gear off to you. You'll probably get the medical gear before the ready pack, because the ready pack is made per order. Guys, just one other thing I do want to say on Patreon. You don't, when I give away something like this, right, Jen, I will tell you if it's something used. But if I'm saying I'm giving you a ready pack, I'm giving you a new ready pack. This backpack that I'm going to give away, it's not this actual one. I'm going to buy a new one and give you a brand new one. If it's something used, I will tell you, like, this is something I reviewed and the supplier said I could give it away, but I'll always make sure it's in decent condition. So well done to that winner. I do thank my Patreons. It is you guys who keep the lights on here for me, literally. And I endeavor to ensure that I support you guys back by giving you spots on courses and really cool gear that you can use. Guys, your preparedness for disaster is not just about yourself. It's going to be about your wife or your husband or your kids or your mother or your father or your brother or sister. Okay? How ready you are may have a direct impact in whether or not that person lives through a disaster. And disasters are happening more and more. So I urge you to consider this video in all seriousness and try to ensure that you're as ready as you can be. Next week, we are going to do a comparison video between the Surefire X300 and the Streamlight TLR1 HL weapon lights. That is it, guys. Have a good week. Be safe. Train hard. Cheers. God bless.